Name something that gets passed around.
A joint.
A joint.
Legalized marijuana is always a very difficult question.
The time is long overdue for us to remove the federal prohibition on marijuana.
Now on, I smoke weed exclusively with white people.
Well, I'll get higher next time.
They're walking on their pants with their cap on backwards, listening to Enema Man, the Snoopy Poop Dog.
There's definitely cannabis in there, and it makes sure that I can sleep now.
What's to keep somebody from getting all potted up on weed and then getting behind the wheel?
Don't piss off your old dealer.
Marijuana is not the kind of thing that ought to be legalized.
I know you're not supposed to admit that you smoke pot, but I don't drink alcohol.
Let's get out of here. I have some really good weed back at the hotel.
I used to smoke marijuana.
I don't care if an adult wants to smoke marijuana. They shouldn't go to prison for it either.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Time for Toker Talk Radio. Glad to have y'all here listening live on RadicalRuss.com. This hour starting off better than the last hour when you couldn't hear me, huh? Oh, my goodness. I hate it when that happens. So, I'll tell you what. I'm going to have to do the intro again here in hour 2. And do the introduction for hour 1. And then in post-production, you know, I'm so slick with that post-production, I'll go ahead and make that up in post. So the people listening on the podcast, they'll have no idea that I messed everything up in the very first hour. So, it's our secret, live listeners. So be cool, right? Before we get to that, though, I wanted to give you some crazy stuff that I heard recently from one of our Republicans out there. And this is unbelievable. This was on the Fox News the other day, and it was a GOP representative who was talking about the possibility, or basically the immigration issue, the whole issue of the border wall, and keeping out the Mexicans and all the criminals and so forth, like they think they're going to do here. And he ended up on this program talking about the issue, and he was trying to come up with an example as to why the border wall needed to be completed and why it was so important. And in doing so, he said one of the stupidest things that I could possibly imagine. I thought I would bring it to you in this little segment that we like to call Reefer Madness Debunked.
Marijuana is an addictive drug which produces in its users insanity, criminality, and death. Marijuana is the most violence-causing drug in the history of mankind. If the hideous monster Frankenstein came face-to-face with the monster of marijuana, he dropped dead from fright.
You know, it's not easy countering 7 decades of propaganda in a 2-hour show, but let's try. It's time for the Russ Belville Show's Reefer Madness Debunked.
Oh, wouldn't you know it? Wouldn't play for me. Oh, man. We just got this queued up, and now the thing is locked, and it doesn't want to play. That figures. Okay. Let's just switch back then. I can't get anything to work right in the first first segment, can I, today? That's something... All right, I think I've got the audio somewhere else. I'll just go to the audio instead of I was trying to get all fancy, show you the video of this thing, but that doesn't look like it's going to work. So let's just go to the audio here from the GOP representative who thinks that we're going to. Oh, great! Is everything locking up on me now? Are you still hearing me out there, folks? Okay, let's see if we can make this work. Come on, computer. Okay, there we go. Oh, it's not going to play that way either. I see how you are. All right, one last attempt. We will get this thing to work. I swear it. I can't stand it when stuff like this happens. It makes me mad.
That Israel has demonstrated, we use their example a lot. They've demonstrated the efficacy of a barrier, a physical barrier. But I think the bigger picture here is that as a group of nations, we need to understand that America is the world's flagship of freedom. And if we don't have a secure border, that hurts everyone in the long run.
But what do you do if it costs? I mean, if this costs dozens of billions of dollars, and I hear you saying, you're saying maybe part of it is a fence, maybe part of it is a wall, there's going to be a barrier, but this comes at a steep cost. And obviously Republicans want to go back, many of them, I'm assuming you do, to their fiscally conservative roots. What do you do about that cost?
Well, I haven't changed my mind about being fiscally conservative, and I appreciate the assumption. It turns out this time it was correct. But the reality, Brianna, is that we have to measure all of the costs, ancillary and otherwise, and make the best decision that we can. But I can suggest to you that there are national security implications here for a porous border. We sometimes used to make the point that, if someone wanted to smuggle in a dangerous weapon, even a nuclear weapon, into America, how would they do it? And the suggestion was made, well, we'll simply hide it in a bale of marijuana. And so the implications of a porous border have national security dimensions that are very significant and that bear a lot of consideration when we talk about costs.
You got that? If the terrorists want to attack us here and cause major damage in America, they could smuggle in nuclear weapons hidden in a bale of marijuana. Now, my problem with understanding how this works is if you're trying to get a nuke into the country, why would you want to hide that nuke in something that's contraband? Wouldn't it make more sense to hide that nuke in a bale of hay or alfalfa or a truckload of avocados, for God's sake? Ahmed, we want to get a nuke into the country. I know. Let's hide it in a big truck full of contraband that drug dogs can smell. That's got to be the silliest justification I've heard yet for this border wall to protect us from nukes being smuggled in marijuana. Hell, even if that did work, they could just put the nuke in one of them catapults. They got catapults to throw the weed over the wall or over the border at this point. Oh my goodness. All right, when we come back, we're going to have a little bit of deja vu as I re-record the opening segment to hour one so I can fix that in post-production. And because you live listeners are such good folks, I know that you'll put up with it. So I'll be right back.
This is the Russ Belville Show on CannabisRadio.com.
In the interest of fair and balanced journalism, the Russ Belville Show presents the anti-drug public service announcement of the day.
My mom's a hardcore enabler. I first realized it when she said we should have a party at our house.
So, what? Are we gonna have fun tonight? You ready? Yeah. Okay, just like
she even got my dad to say okay.
They're teenagers.
She knew there was gonna be drinking, but
call me Debbie, please.
She never really said anything about it.
Girls, are you doing okay?
She's so hooked on enabling that my friends think she's their buddy.
Love your outfit.
So you want to try it?
If she doesn't care, why should I?
Enabling is a drug. Get help. The partnership at drugfree.org.
This has been the Russ Belville Show's anti-drug public service announcement of the day, exclusively on RadicalRuss.com.
At Herbie's Cannabis Seeds, we pride ourselves on bringing you the best quality seeds from the world's most respected cannabis seed producers, all at the lowest online prices. You can find Herbie's Seeds at herbiesheadshop.com. All cannabis seeds are sold as souvenirs and as a means of preserving cannabis genetics. Herbie's Seeds in no way intends to condone, promote, or incite the use of illegal or controlled substances. We strongly urge all prospective customers to check their national laws prior to placing an order. Herbie's Seeds at herbiesheadshop.com. Proud sponsors of the Russ Belville Show and 420 Radio.
You're listening to The Russ Belville Show.
Tough on crime, lock them up. But that wasn't the answer.
You can find Radical Russ online everywhere.
This is Cannabis Facts from Robert Platshorn's thesilvertour.org, supported by our donors and Hemp Inc., poised to lead America's hemp revolution at hempinc.com. In 1937, the second most prescribed medicine, marijuana, was banned. It wasn't about marijuana. The paper, oil, and chemical industries lobbied to end hemp farming. No longer labor-intensive, an acre of hemp produced more quality paper than 4 acres of trees. Plastics and fibers could be produced from a plant. Hemp can even produce 10 times the energy of today's ethanol. As marijuana prohibition ends, many states now allow farmers to again grow hemp. This was Cannabis Facts from thesilvertour.org, an educational nonprofit supported by our donors and Hemp Inc., a public company poised to process America's hemp crop at hempinc.com.
Remember, friends, there's more to life than marijuana. I just can't remember what it is. Why'd I come in here? You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation, only on CannabisRadio.com.
Thank you so much, everybody, for indulging me in that re-record of news that I missed earlier. It's always weird when things happen like that, and I appreciate you guys, like I said, understanding. You may not know this, but this is a one-man operation here. I do all the writing and the engineering and the programming and the web design and the uploading and the audio editing and the analysis and the data and the charts and the camera work and the graphics and the talking. So every now and then I drop the ball. Every now and then. Hey, I wanted to give a shout out to our good friend Bobby Platshorn. I just booked the Meet the Experts conference. I'm going to be out there on March 18th and 19th in Atlantic City, New Jersey at Harrah's. And on your screen right now, for those of you watching live, you can see a billboard ad that is currently featured in Times Square, the Meet the Experts billboard ad. You can learn more about it at meetexperts.org. And it reminds you to get your tickets before the seats are all gone. This is the 5th Meet the Experts that is going on, and Bobby always puts together a fantastic event. I know Kayvon Kalabari and Ian Sieb from Denver Relief Consulting are going to be out there talking about the industry in Colorado. You'll also have Rory Gould, who is a medical marijuana operator in the state of Michigan. He will be out there. And my good fishing buddy, Mike Booten, who's the California cannabis grower who is featured in the Discovery television show Weed Wars. Was his the country? I forget. No, he wasn't Weed Wars. He was... I forget. There were so many of these reality shows. But anyway, Mike's reality TV show star and a longtime cannabis grower. There'll be a lot of expertise. Check it out. MeetExperts.org.
Soylent Green is people!
That's right. Soylent Green is people. Stay away from the Soylent Green. We got to take a break. It's 4:20 here in the Pacific time zone. And that means we've got to get to our mandatory union agreed safety meeting. Local 420. Be right back after this. When you are starting up a medical cannabis business, you want a fired-up lawyer who understands the needs of cannabis consumers. The law office of Lauren Vasquez is your fired-up lawyer for the cannabis industry. Visit her website, fireduplawyer.com, or call 1-855-MMJ-LAWS for more information. That's 855-665-5297 for Lauren Vasquez, your fired-up lawyer, or email fireduplawyer@gmail.com.
You're listening to the Russ Belville Show.
And it's the first time in 2 years, or not, first time in a year and a half, that I had a decent night's sleep because the arthritis pain was gone.
You can find Radical Russ online everywhere. Warning. Hits taken on this show are larger than they appear. Do not try this at home. These people are professionals. Or at least they aim you to say that.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
A public service message from the Russ Belville Show. Pod 2.0. It's not your father's Woodstock weed. This is the Russ Belville Show on CannabisRadio.com.
All right, welcome back. I hope you're all feeling a lot safer now. 22 after the hour here in beautiful legal Potland, Oregon, where it looks like medical and recreational marijuana are going to be merged. Now, I was just recently in San Francisco, and speaking at the event there in San Francisco was Steph Shearer. She's the head of Americans for Safe Access. They do great work. They are the #1 patient advocacy organization in the United States. They are fantastic. Their court support, their advocacy, their activist training is amazing. However, I've always had one issue with Americans for Safe Access, and that is their, well, I don't know. Look, I understand that they've got to focus on medical and that they want to present this as being not getting high and not stoners. They want to, it's patients and it's medicine. It's serious, right? I totally understand that. However, I think it's possible to support the patients and be professional and serious without denigrating the recreational use customers, without denigrating people like me, right? And that's a general feeling I've always had about medical marijuana, is that since its advent in the early 90s, some people take that as a way to kind of put themselves up on a pedestal, to be up on a high horse, to make their marijuana use seem legit and honorable and not a habit or disgusting or an addiction, right? And in doing so, sometimes cast aspersions and look down at those of us who don't have a great medical excuse for using marijuana. Some of us who just choose to use it because we like it. And so you don't have to be anti-pothead to be pro-patient, I guess is what I'm getting at here. And what brings me to this is the merging of Oregon's medical and rec market is that Steph Shearer, when she opened her remarks, she was mainly talking about California, but she had to open by making some remarks about this merging that's going on. She started by saying, and I'm paraphrasing here, but it was something to the effect of, after this lecture, I'm going to go run out to the bar and pick up a prescription for my medicine. And then she went on basically saying that, tried to make the point that this is medical marijuana and having to shop. I had to shop in a recreational place next to people who are just trying to get high or just trying to get something to enjoy the concert. And I have legitimate medical needs and no privacy to talk about and get that. Right. That's the kind of thing I got from it. And it bothers me. And she went on to say, I know Oregon's considering merging medical and recreational. I urge you not to do that. If you want to see what that's like, just ask the patients in Washington. Right? So in the medical community, there is this want to keep the system they've got. They like it, right? It's laxly regulated in a lot of cases. It's cheap and easy to get involved with. Doesn't take a whole lot of oversight and inspection and so forth. But the problem that exists is a fundamental misunderstanding of what medical marijuana is, right? Too many people think of medical marijuana as a right. Like, I've gotten the right to use my medicine. I've gotten this right to use cannabis. And that just ain't so. Medical marijuana does not make marijuana legal. It merely gives you an exemption to arrest and criminal prosecution. You're still a criminal. Marijuana is still illegal. You still have no right to use it. But if your doctor said you're sick, we won't bust you for it. That's what medical marijuana is. So when the laws change and marijuana becomes legal for all adults, The natural follow-up question then is, what are we keeping medical for? What is the exception for? Why does there need to be an exception to prosecution and arrest if we're no longer prosecuting and arresting people for their marijuana use and cultivation? Now, there are some legitimate differences that need to be taken into account. Patients oftentimes need much greater amounts of marijuana. And it is somewhat cruel to want to tax people for their medicine, right? I'm all for taxing people on stuff that is optional, but taxing stuff you need to live seems a little ghoulish. But the medical people want this, some of them I should say, want to maintain two completely separate systems. They want to pretend that there is this plant called cannabis that produces this medicine that has to be treated with far greater levels of inspection and quality, but not taxed at all. And a completely separate thing called marijuana that's grown and given to people as an entertainment good like alcohol, that we don't really need to worry so much about its testing, but we're going to tax the hell out of it. Those two parallel systems are untenable. It cannot last that way because marijuana is fungible. There is no such thing as medical marijuana. There is marijuana that some people use as a medicine and some people use for fun, and maybe all of them are using it for therapeutic purposes. But it's not two separate things. If I held up one bud in one hand and one in another and told you one was medical and one was recreational, you could not tell me which is which. And neither can law enforcement. And that's why we have limits. That's why they only let us have an ounce, right? I get people come up with me with that point to me all the time. Nobody tells me how many 6-packs of beer I can buy. Yeah, you know why? Because you can buy a 6-pack of beer anywhere in America. And a 6-pack of beer anywhere in America is going to be within 50 cents to $1, the same price everywhere you go in America. If you could buy a 6-pack of beer in Oregon, but beer was prohibited in Texas and cost $40 a 6-pack, then there would be limits in Oregon on how many 6-packs of beer you can buy. I guarantee it. Prohibition is what creates these limits. The need of law enforcement to want to prevent people from taking advantage of a personal right in their state and using it for profit by exporting to other states. So long as there's prohibition somewhere, there's going to be limits in the non-prohibited states, in the legal states. Now, the patients need those limits to be greater. Got no problem with that. And patients shouldn't be taxed. Got no problem with that either. But all this can be accomplished by creating one regulatory system for the production of marijuana. There doesn't need to be separate medical growers versus separate recreational growers. Growing marijuana is growing marijuana. It's the same task. It's done the same way. Processing, making it into oils and cookies and tinctures. Again, doesn't need to be two separate things. Retailing it doesn't need to be two separate things. We can have one system and build that system with its regulations and standards in such a way that they will be great for the most needy patient. I assure you, recreational consumers like me won't mind our marijuana being extra clean. Won't mind it having to meet certain standards. And as far as all the other considerations for medical use, like you're discussing medical needs, you don't want to be in a crowded shop with a whole bunch of people that can overhear you while you're talking about your period cramps and what weed would be the best for them or whatever. You know, your prostate issue, whatever it might be, right? You want some privacy. We can accomplish that without having to have two completely separate buildings for people to go into. We can have a medical system like what Oregon is proposing, run by an Oregon Liquor and Cannabis Commission, one set of producers, one set of growers, all that stuff, and then just make certain amendments and exceptions to deal with the medical needs. Oregon is proposing making it so that these medical growers, so long as they're growing 75% of their plants of their product and giving it away for free to patients could then use the other 25% to sell to the recreational, to sell to the marijuana market, to recoup their costs and to be able to continue providing that altruistic service of free marijuana to patients. That's a brilliant idea. Brilliant plan. We can have it so the checkout, the retail checkout for the marijuana at the marijuana store, you show your Oregon medical marijuana card, they push a button on the register that makes it a tax-free transaction. We don't have to have two separate stores for that. And this idea that, oh, well, if it's all recreational, one of the concerns I've heard is if it all goes over to the adult use market, we're not going to have any medically valuable strains that are high in CBD, for example, or that are specific to certain conditions. But again, with this idea of Oregon's, to allow medical growers to be able to get in on selling marijuana, 25% of what they grow, for a reduced license and much less onerous reporting and regulatory requirements, is going to give plenty of incentive for them to grow the 75% of plants as whatever the patients need, CBD or low THC or whatever it might be. If I'm a grower and I know that I can put 4 plants over there of Durban poison, let's say, and sell those at the dispensaries and make enough money that I can grow my Charlotte's Web and my Harlequin and my OG Kush or whatever else it is my patients might need. I think this kind of solution is actually going to increase the amount of medically valuable strains and products that we get. And on the other side, on the commercial side, they're wanting to incentivize the commercial growers who want to expand. Well, you want to expand, then you need to kick down some to the patients. Once again, I'm so proud to be an Oregonian at this point, with these ways that we're coming up with to deal with the medical and the recreational, and to understand that at the core, this is one plant. One plant for all of us. There should be one set of rules for all of us, and exceptions for those that need them. But it's going to be interesting to watch as Oregon unfolds with this kind of merged market, and Colorado continues with their bifurcated market, and Washington continues with really stamping out almost the medical market. And then California comes online with their recreational law based off of their medical law and how that's going to be merging together. It's going to be a fascinating time in public policy to see how all of these things shake out. All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we've got more stories for you. We've got a story on the University of Michigan that's working on a new concussion study. Great news for all those athletes that we keep talking to that could use medical marijuana for their brain injuries. And we've got a stupid prohibition story coming up about a dispensary break-in. And we'll close things up with some satire from The Onion. You're listening to The Russ Belville Show on RadicalRuss.com. We're back right after this.
This is the Russ Belville Show on CannabisRadio.com.
The International Cannabis Business Conference comes to San Francisco, California on February 16th and 17th, 2017. The ICBC San Francisco, Northern California's first business-to-business event since the recent historic election, will bring together top state regulators and industry leaders to discuss permits, business models, and opportunities within the newly enacted laws and landscape. Of course, the ICBC also famously offers some of the best cannabis industry networking, leveraging our worldwide following to connect wholesalers, brands, distributors, investors, and strategic partners. And don't forget to come early for our VIP reception and stay late for our legendary after party. Join us for the longest continuously running cannabis business conference in California at the Hilton San Francisco Union Square, the one and only International Cannabis Business Conference. Visit internationalcbc.com for tickets today.
You're not high. You're listening to The Russ Belville Show.
Well, when the president does it, that means that it is not illegal.
Okay. Maybe you're high, too. Warning. Hits taken on this show are larger than they appear. Do not try this at home. These people are professionals. Or at least they pay me to say that.
Cool.
A public service message from The Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation, only on CannabisRadio.com.
Welcome back, everyone. 37 and a half after the hour. And I picked up this story on the net today, and I just now realized there was a pop hunt headline going on. So the headline on this story is Scythian U of M concussion study hits the jackpot. Right? But they spelled jackpot, Jack-pot. And when I first saw it, I was like, Jack? No, is that the way it's spelled? I don't think it's spelled that. Is that how it's spelled? And then finally, just now, I just went, oh, duh, jackpot. Get it? Weed, cannabis, pot. Oh, all right. So anyway, this story is out on Innovatelli.com. And it talks about Scythian Biosciences, Inc., which is a Canadian firm based in Calgary, and it's getting together with the University of Miami for a 5-year, $16 million study of cannabinoid-based methods for reducing post-concussion brain cell inflammation. All right, now the only problem is Scythian Biosciences and University of Miami have been waiting for the $16 million. This is where another Canadian firm comes in. This is a mining exploration company called Kitrinor Metals, Inc. And they are involved in a reverse takeover of Scythian Biosciences and a $10 million strategic lead investment by Toronto-based medical marijuana producer Aphria Inc. or Aphria Inc. So, this mining company, Scythian Biosciences, and this medical marijuana producer, all put together kind of in this weird transaction, are now going to fund this study at the University of Miami. Now, the deal's not finalized yet. The Canadian Stock Exchange has to approve what's going on here. Scythian is trying to complete a 4-for-1 consolidation of their common shares, both issued and outstanding shares. But the plan is that Kitrinor is going to form a subsidiary that merges with Scythian. That new entity will be what is traded on the TSX Venture Exchange. That's the Canadian Stock Exchange. They hope to get this closed by the end of May. And if so, the concussion study would be a go. Now, one of the spokespeople for the company owner, actually, Jonathan Gilbert, says that as we go past certain levels in the clinical trials, we'll be able to raise money at better valuation. Next year or 2 years from now, when we're further along in the process, we'll go out and raise 40 or 50 million, or we may buy up another company. So 16 million is what the study needs, but this Toronto company and the other company, they've got the 10 million so far. So they're going to go into it, start out with the 10 million, and continue to try to raise some more money as they go. Some of the patents they're working on include a compound that combines CBD with a chemical that disrupts nerve cell receptors. Very interesting stuff there. And again, they seriously believe they can raise a lot of funding for this, given, the growth of medical marijuana in Canada and throughout the rest of North America. I have no doubt that they can move forward with this. It's going to be great to have more research. I really believe that the role of cannabinoids, being able to treat concussion, Alzheimer's, dementia, all sorts of mental conditions, is going to be one of the killer apps for cannabinoids. That's going to be one of the things that breaks through the mainstream. When they find that their athletes, their football players, the beloved football players and other athletes can benefit from this, people are going to start demanding it. It's like, why should my favorite fantasy player have to sit on the bench from concussion when we got something that could get him back on the field? All right, let's shift gears just a little bit here, because I do believe we've got something coming in on the old flux capacitor.
Marijuana is an addictive drug which produces in its users insanity, criminality, and death. Marijuana is the most violence-causing drug in the history of mankind. If the hideous monster Frankenstein came face-to-face with the monster of marijuana, he dropped dead from fright.
I am having a day, folks. Let's try the right intro this time.
It's not...
Stupid Prohibition Stories.
As a public service, the Russ Belville Show reminds you that smoking marijuana does not make one stupid. However, some stupid people do smoke marijuana, and Prohibition is always waiting for another victim. Learn your lesson from today's Stupid Prohibition Stories.
With your Stupid Prohibition Stories, I'm old-timey 1920s radio reporter Freddie Farrakh. This just in from the Lansing State Journal. For the second time in 3 weeks, Ahmad Rashad Ross has been charged with breaking into a medical marijuana dispensary. The 34-year-old Lansing man was free on bond in a previous dispensary break-in case when he was arrested early today in connection with a burglary at 420 Solutions, a dispensary on South Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, south of Kavanaugh Road, according to police and court records. Officers spotted Ross walking into the area, and a police canine team followed a track from the dispensary to where Ross was standing, Lansing police spokesman Robert Merritt said. Ross was arraigned today on a felony breaking and entering charge in 54A District Court. A judge also set a $250,000 cash bond for him. He is also charged in connection with a similar incident at Capital Dank, a dispensary on South Washington Avenue on February 1st, exactly 3 weeks before today's burglary. In that case, police said they followed shoe prints in the snow from the business to where Ross was found, about 2 blocks away. He had merchandise from the store when he was arrested. Court records show that Ross waived his right to a district court review of the charges and was ordered to stand trial on charges of breaking and entering, felony firearm possession, and being a felon in possession of a weapon. He posted a $5,000 cash bond on February 17th. In the newest case, police were called to 420 Solutions at about 2:45 a.m. today and found that someone had broken into the business. Officers spotted a man in the area walking and acting suspicious. They made contact with Ross, who was in possession of evidence from the burglary, and arrested him. I'm Freddie Farrakh with your Stupid Prohibition Story! Oh my goodness. All right. So, dude breaks into a dispensary in the snow, walks through the snow a couple blocks away, and they find him by his footprints. Gets out on bond 3 weeks later. And the first thing he does is goes and tries to rob another dispensary. And they find him a few blocks away with the marijuana still on him. Man. Some people got an extra special level of stupid going, don't they? Amazing. I also wanted to bring you a quick note from The Onion. Great little story in The Onion today. Police finally make breakthrough in decades-old marijuana possession cold case. Amarillo, Texas. stating that the pivotal new evidence has helped them get significantly closer to zeroing in on a suspect. The Amarillo Police Department announced Wednesday that they have finally made a breakthrough in a decades-old marijuana possession cold case. Quote, despite multiple interrogations and stakeouts, the trail went cold shortly after we discovered that dime bag by the 7-Eleven on that fateful day in 1976. That is, until one of our detectives, acting on a hunch, ran some tests on a soda can pipe and Donald Duck lighter confiscated by a nearby high school around the same time. End quote, said police spokesperson Hank Rampart, adding that they couldn't believe such a huge clue was just sitting right there before their eyes for more than 40 years. Quote, we're now fully reopening the case and have put all our top agents on it. Given this crucial development, it should only be a matter of time until we bring the perpetrator to justice, end quote. Rampart went on to say that whoever this sick person was, they could count on being put away for a long, long time. Yeah. So I just wanted to read it just in case someone sent it through your Facebook feed and didn't realize it was satire. But it's not. Going to break open the 1976 can pipe case. Yes, it's. I remember when they covered this on Dateline NBC, right? Oh, well. Anyway, we're going to take another break. When we come back, we'll get to our closing segment, wrap things up here, talk a little bit more, and maybe even smoke some marijuana. Stay tuned. We're back right after this.
This is the Russ Belville Show on CannabisRadio.com.
The Russ Belville Show is proudly sponsored by the Marijuana Business Association. The MJBA, called by NBC News the Cannabis Chamber of Commerce, is the fastest growing business association in the fastest growing industry in America. I've been working with the MJBA for years, and I personally invite you to join the MJBA. MJBA also publishes the popular MJ Headline News on Facebook and the MJNewsNetwork.com and Marijuana Channel 1 on YouTube. Visit MJBA.net for more details.
You're not high. You're listening to the Russ Belville Show.
People will smoke marijuana in pot stores right next to schools, daycare centers, and churches.
Okay, well, maybe you're high, too. Warning. Hits taken on this show are larger than they appear. Do not try this at home. These people are professionals. Or at least they pay me to say that.
It's no bong. It's for my schlong.
A public service message from the Russ Belville Show. Hello, Mr. Man. Hi. I'm working. I'm sorry. No food till this is done. This is the Russ Belville Show on CannabisRadio.com.
Oh, yeah. Rest in peace, Roscoe P. Coltrane. I sure miss my dog. Welcome back, everyone. 50 after the hour, and I'm sure you probably saw this on the Super Bowl, but I haven't played it on the show yet, and I just wanted to because I think it's one of the best ads I have seen in a long, long time. And let me just switch over to the video window here and cross my fingers and hope that it works right for the first time all day today. You saw this ad with Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart on the Super Bowl, and it's starting to get a lot of replay, this T-Mobile ad, and it's a little controversial. We'll tell you about that right after the ad.
Isn't T-Mobile fantastic, Snoop? Unlimited data, taxes and fees included. It's everything.
Might even say it's all that in a bagger.
Purple cushy throw pillows?
No, I was thinking.
Herb roasted lamb chops?
Nah, bagger.
Greenery. For your topiary garden.
Nah.
Pot. Cannabis.
Maybe.
Smartphone sweaters. It keeps your unlimited data cozy.
I like that.
It's all that and more. T-Mobile One. All unlimited. Now with taxes and fees included.
Oh, I love it. I love it. A can of bisque? Purple cushy throw pillows? Well done. Well done, T-Mobile. Now, the anti-pot people now are freaking out about this ad. Oh, they're pissed off. How dare you? How dare you come on the Super Bowl and show kids that marijuana is cool? The group that's opposed to this, they're called Parents Opposed to Pot. And their website is poppot.org, which means it's poppot.org. But remember, POP stands for Parents Opposed to Pot. So the website then is parentsopposedtopot.org. And they say we're the stoners. Like, Kevin Sabet comes up with his smart approaches to marijuana and doesn't have the sense to get the web domain Smart Approaches. And I went and bought it. He gets forced to have to use Learn About Sam. Parents Opposed to Pot couldn't get pop.org. So they go with poppot.org. Oh, well. But anyway, they're pretty upset about this ad. They say, let me see if I can find their part here. It says, during the Super Bowl ad, the ad is meant to play off Stewart and Broadus's VH1 reality show. By the way, they made a point to say rap artist Snoop Dogg, real name, Calvin Cordozar Broadus Jr., and then as they refer to him throughout the rest of the article, they keep referring to him as Brodus. Well, he doesn't go by Brodus. He doesn't go by his name Calvin Brodus. His name is Snoop Dogg. So you could say the ad is meant to play off Stewart and Snoop's VH1 reality show, Martha and Snoop's Potluck Dinner Party, a show geared to millennials that some reviewers concede is nothing more than an effort to normalize the use of marijuana. During the Super Bowl, T-Mobile ad ran with such references as pot, cannabis, greenery, and purple cushions. Purple Kush is a popular strain of marijuana. How much more of an attempt to normalize this to youngsters can you get? The Super Bowl is something whole families watch. This was the worst place to air a commercial like this, unless the goal was to make drug use a joke and get kids to think marijuana is no big deal, explained a Missouri mom who has had several friends lose children to drug abuse, including marijuana addiction. She has organized a petition to boycott T-Mobile, understanding that she faces an uphill battle against a society that increasingly believes marijuana is not harmful. However, she has the support of drug policy experts who have been warning of the same for years. Drug policy expert Kevin Sabet, co-founder and president of Smart Approaches to Marijuana, explained, quote, ads like this show exactly what the marijuana legalization movement is about, addiction for profit. Last year, tens of millions of dollars of pot lobby dollars bankrolled an initiative in California that would allow pot smoking ads to run on television. 3 months later, the same lobby promotes this ad during an event when millions of kids were watching. It's big tobacco all over again, end quote. Yeah, so they're pretty upset that Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart are normalizing pot. Well, let's think about this for a second. Martha Stewart is not exactly a, shall we say, icon of the youth, right? It's not like your average teenagers are running home to get to the television to watch their DVR'd copies of Martha Stewart Living to figure out how to make doilies, okay? And Snoop Dogg, well, he is a rap artist and is still relevant in today's world. He's an artist with a 20-year, damn near 20, let's see, 93, 2003, 25 years, a quarter century that he's been around. He's not the hot, young, new artist, okay? To me, this T-Mobile ad doesn't so much normalize marijuana use as it makes it boring, makes it something that's a joke, that's older people's thing, that it takes away the forbidden fruit stigma. It takes away the notion that it is, again, this harmful, deadly, dangerous drug like heroin. And that's the problem that these people have, these parents opposed to pot people have. Yet, they know for the past 50 years of Super Bowls that when they gather the kids to watch that game, during the game, they're going to see violence and collisions. They're going to see injuries and sometimes broken and strained limbs. They're going to see people get knocked out by concussions. And then when it goes to commercial break, they're guaranteed to see alcohol commercials. They're guaranteed to see Budweiser and Coors Light and Miller, even hard alcohol, being celebrated and normalized. They're going to see ad after ad after ad for prescription drugs with a litany of terrible side effects that take up the whole last 30 seconds of the commercial. So for parents opposed to pot to get their knickers all in a twist over some pot puns featuring one guy in his, how old Snoop? 50s? 60? He's not 60 yet, but 50s. He's older than I am, I think. And Martha Stewart in her 70s, that's going to be the part that we got to worry about. Not the bikini girls in the Budweiser ads, not the sexy MILFs who are talking about Viagra. It's the cannabis pun that's going to be a problem. Now, I know what their response would be. But like, well, we've already got those problems with the Super Bowl. We've already got that situation. Why would we want to add to it by making marijuana normal, by making it something that the kids could also get involved with? My response would be, hey, maybe if they're not doing the keg stands and popping the Adderall and smoking pot instead, fewer of them might not die. Anyway, that's all the time we got for today. Thanks for joining us despite all the technical difficulties. But I think I'm getting it all worked out. I think we'll be fine. For everyone here at Delta 9 Studios in beautiful League of Potland, Oregon, I'm Radical Russ. Thanks to each and every one of you. We'll see you tomorrow. And until next time, take care of each other, Tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at RadicalRuss.com.
Take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it,
Snoop Dogg is 45 and Dr. Dre is 52. So I'm younger than Dr. Dre, older than Snoop.
You're listening to the Russ Belville Show.
We have 4 times the incarceration rate on a percentage basis of any country in the world. In second place is New Zealand.
You can find Radical Russ online everywhere.